Everybody? Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 29 Palms City Council regular meeting agenda for Tuesday, June 9th, 2020, here at 6136 Adobe Road, 29 Palms, California, 92277. If you would like to all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'd like to have Donald Thrasher lead us in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you'd like to stay standing for the invocation by Reverend Don Thursby of Little Church of the Desert.
Let us pray. First, Lord God, we rejoice in the new group of young people joining us in the ranks of the future, the class of 2020. We acknowledge their accomplishment this evening. And now we move on to the other business at hand. Lord, we have basically just climbed out of a long hibernation, and as we adjust to the new reality around us, our eyes are still getting adjusted to the fact that the world we've come out into is very different than the one that found us safe at home, burrowed away. Coronavirus has had its impact, although in our area we have been blessed not to have been hit as hard as other places. There is also the fact that economically the world has changed, and we will be going forward to something, at least for the near future, which will be radically different. And the recent events, the protests, the reminders, the peaceful demonstrations, which have told us that we are about to change the way we function with one another. And it is a good thing and an exciting one as we remember the legacy of George Floyd and move into a better world. Tonight, the task of our city council is on a more humble scale, but the work is important. There are decisions to be made. We have to move ahead and deal with this new reality. They will lead us, and as they grapple with those changes and try to keep our city on a good footing, we pray, Lord God, that you will give them the fullest of your blessing, that you will guide their wisdom, that you will grant them vision to see what our new world is going to be like as they sort out the way. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bildering,
Here.
Councilmember Ogilvy,
Here.
Councilmember Wright,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
Here.
Mayor Klink,
Here.
all present.
We have no closed session announcements. Changes to the agenda? No changes to the agenda. Announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on demand on the City of 29 Palms website at www.29palms.org. You may also live stream this meeting by going on our website and clicking on the meeting agendas link. Awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations. Doing John first. Presentation to city employee John Beard upon his retirement from the city. If I could have John come to the podium. Not even a folder. All right. Wait. Okay. Presented John Beard,
who to talk to here. I guess you all. I've lived in 29 Palms for 50 years, and I consider it my town. I'm a local. I was a military brat, and I ended up in 29 Palms when my dad retired out here. And it was a thrill to be hired on at the city, because it's the city of 29 Palms, and I love it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just not working anymore. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. It does say Noel Perdue on there, but he had other things he had to do in Arizona, so he will be here later in July. Number 2, presentation to Daviahn Thrasher, high school student and lifeguard at Lincoln Military Housing.
One second, let me tell people who you are here. Honorable Mayor, City Council, the San Bernardino County Fire Department would like to recognize Daviahn Thrasher for his life-saving actions on May 27, 2020. On just his 4th day as a lifeguard at the Vista del Sol Apartments, he noticed a medical emergency in the pool. He immediately went into action and removed a female seizure patient from the water. His alertness and quick thinking absolutely saved this young lady's life. So Captain Dimoff is here with his crew from Medic Engine 44, which is right here in 29 Palms. They responded to the call, and he's going to share a few more details about what happened that day.
I'm going to take this off just because it's kind of muffled. And I kind of wanted to talk to everybody, so if you don't mind, I'm going to center myself so I really want to address everybody. Hello, young man. Good to see you. Yeah, Scott said on the 26th we received a 911 call. Well, let me just first of all, I want to thank the City of 29 Palms and City Council for allowing us to come up and present this award. It means a great deal to us. We don't oftentimes get a chance to present awards to civilians, so this is a great opportunity, a perfect opportunity for us to do this. And so we really thank you guys for allowing us to present this award, really truly. So I'm just going to really briefly just give you a screenshot of how the call came down and how we, how we met Mr. Thrasher here. Is that better? Okay. And we'll move on. So like Battalion Chief Scott Tuttle said, on the 22nd, on the 25th, we received a 911 call through our 911 system of a female that was having a seizure at the pool at the base housing. So we responded, went into the facility, found a female that was disoriented, which we thought she was suffering from a medical problem, which she was. Did our assessment. Daviahn was standing right next to us in his lifeguard uniform and gave us a little brief synopsis about what he did. And he told us that he was noticing that the female went down underneath the water for about 5 seconds. He sprung into action, brought her up to the surface, brought her to the side of the pool, and then got her out prior to our arrival. When we arrived, the patient was alert, but a little bit out of it. We gave her some oxygen and did what we normally do, and then she was transported to a local hospital and recovered fine. It was interesting because we started walking away, my crew and I, and we thought, shoot, man, that guy just saved that girl's life. So we thought as a crew, we said, let's go back. I want to talk to him, take a picture of him, and we want to recognize him for a job well done. So I went back, we took a picture, and I started talking to him and just getting a little bit of background information. I said, well, how long have you been doing this? He said, 4 days. 4 days. He's on the job 4 days. So I've been a lifeguard myself. I've gone years without having saved someone's life. This guy did it in 4 days. So we wanted to recognize him for a job well done. Like the battalion chief said, this woman would definitely have perished or not done well after that incident had it not been for his skills and what he learned 4 days prior to that. So he was at the right time at the right place, and we felt that we should spend this time to recognize him in front of all you, and in front of 29 Palms, and in front of Don Rowe, our city county council member. So with that, where are his parents, by the way? Okay. You should be very proud of this young man. He's a very respectable kid. I can see him going way far in his life. I know you're a swimmer. I know you're a competitive swimmer. I am too, or I used to be, I should say, in my younger days. I would recommend if you ever get an offer for a scholarship to swim, do it. That is something you should cherish and do for sure, okay? So thank you very much for letting us do this, and we have a presentation for him. If Scott wanted to read that.
Yeah, so we have a meritorious award here from the fire department. It reads Meritorious Award presented to Daviahn Thrasher in recognition of your swift and professional actions on May 27th, 2020 during a medical emergency in the swimming pool at the Vista del Sol Apartments in 29 Palms. Your alertness to a true emergency and immediate action saved a life. Presented this day, June 9th, 2020, signed Dan Muncie, Fire Chief. So there you go.
Yeah, Supervisor Rod would like to come up and present an award. Thank you.
I want to congratulate you. It's super exciting to have good news in today's day and age, so thank you for all that you did. Thank you to your parents for raising such a fine young man, and when you're ready for a letter of recommendation for your scholarship, hit me up. So we can't help to want to facilitate you and your life and keep doing good things. So it was a great opportunity to share with the entire Board of Supervisors of the county a week ago your actions, and it's awesome. So on behalf of the entire Board of Supervisors, we congratulate you and commend you for a job well done. So congratulations. We have one more.
Yes. Don't go anywhere.
Daviahn, on behalf of the City of Twin Palms City Council, I'm going to probably start crying because this is so awesome.
Yeah.
We want to thank you so much for your dedication to your job, even though it was only for 4 days, but I know it's continuing on. But we want to present you with this plaque, Daviahn Thrasher, in recognition of your outstanding efforts on May 27, 2020, in which you used your experience and training to save a drowning woman. Your heroic action performed in the saving of a life was instrumental in preventing a potential tragedy and will always be remembered. Twin Palms City Council, June 9, 2020, and like Supervisor Ralph said, we will definitely also give you a letter of recommendation. All right. Thing off. You want this one? That's some good news there, I'll tell you. Thank you again. Thank you, families, for coming and supporting him, and thank you to the mom and dad. You're an inspiration to him and to a lot of other young people, bringing up such a good young man. So, okay, we're going to move on to council comments and reports of meetings attended. Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just can't remember what I did, but so I don't think I did anything. But I do want to congratulate the Thrasher family. It's awesome. I remember that young man playing football when he was like wee little. So awesome to see him, now. And also want to congratulate Mr. Beard for his retirement. Awesome. And I was going to ask a question, but I don't think I need to ask it now. So that's all I got, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, sir.
All right. Councilmember Beldrain?
I want to congratulate Mr. John Beard. Thank you for everything you've done for the city, Park and Rec. I know my kids were out there, and he had to yell at them and umpire and ref them, and they give them attitude, but they love him. So thank you, John, for everything you've done. Daviahn, you know you have always a place in my heart with you. So congratulations. Thank you for everything you did. I know you'll do great things. I've known you're going to do good things. Your mom and dad know you do. Now the whole city knows, and everyone knows now. So but thank you for everything you've done. Also, things I've attended, there was no meetings, but I did have the opportunity to stand on Saturday with the peaceful, was it Friday? Oh, it's Friday, huh? All the days run together. So I got to stand out there. No one knew who I was, which was a good thing, 'cause I had a mask on. So I got to be out there with my community and be a voice also. And I will stand with them also, with people like the organizers of that peaceful demonstration and children like Daviahn Thrasher. I also, Mr. Mayor, will be running for election again this year. So I think I need to be out here, have more energy in the tank, and with people like Mr. Thrasher and the organizers, I think the city still needs a voice, and I'm here to do that. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Councilmember Ogilvy?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Didn't we attend the MBTA?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I attended MBTA and Mac was there. I can vouch for that. Also, I attended SCAG this year, and pretty much with that meeting, it was voting on accepting the old business, old meeting, and also instilling the new officers. So I got to see that for the first time. It was pretty good. And I want to say congratulations to the class of 2020. It's a unique graduating time for them, but nonetheless, we celebrate you, so proud of you. And Daviahn, I'm proud of you as well. I don't know statistically if anyone is aware of this, but African Americans do not swim a lot. And for you not only to swim and to be a lifeguard is really tremendous. And not only that, to save someone's life. I just feel like I have my replacement now, so I can retire one day as a nurse. And my son was a lifeguard as well, but he never did the heroics that you did. But congratulations to you. I salute you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Mintz?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, quick congratulations to John Beard and his retirement, and Daviahn, good job, bud. I went to I didn't go to it, did a Zoom meeting with the Air Quality Board, just basically going over the budget for next year, and everything is going fine. Our district is actually doing better than some of the other districts because of the COVID-19, so it's not affecting our budget as bad as some of the other districts. So because we don't have as many factory shutdowns as some of the other places did. So and also stopped by the peaceful protest and got to speak to some of the young men that were there, and it was I thought it was a good event. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Right. Thank you. I too was at the peaceful protest that we had. And as soon as I'm done, I'm going to have you gentlemen come up and say a few things, so in case you have things to do after that, you don't have to stay around for the whole thing, but we'd love for you to join us. But it was done very well. It was planned out perfect, peaceful. I told everybody who I was, and they were just all so happy to see the mayor there, and I was happy to be there in support of everybody. We have a long road ahead of us, and let's hope and pray that it's not as long as it has been, that road has shortened so that we can get together as a whole world peacefully. I went to the SBCTA virtual meeting. That was budget time again, and everywhere is budget time just about. Also, committee members were changed and voting on all that stuff. Class of 2020, congratulations. Like you all said, it's just a crazy year for the class of 2020. But we know you'll make it. You're all strong, strong-willed, and we are behind you 100% on getting to where you want to be. So, John Beard, thank you very much. I've known you for many, many, many years, going to school and everything. Thank you very much for all the hard work that you did for the city, and I know you probably will volunteer to do some stuff with the city. Thank you very much. I want to thank the captain and Supervisor Rao for coming down and giving Mr. Thrasher his well-deserved certificates of appreciation. Thank you for being here. And like we said, Daviahn, you're awesome. I mean, 4 days on the job, and was this your very first lifeguard stint?
My first job.
Your first job, and you were able to save a person. That is just awesome. Thank you so very much. Thank you, parents. Appreciate it. Okay. At this time, I would like to call up the gentleman that was in charge of the protest, and if you want to say anything to the people of 29 Palms.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paul, and I'm happy that you guys invited us here today. We just wanted to assure, because there was a lot of speculation and people are unsure, and especially in our area, we're not exposed to. I mean, we have the privilege of not we know what's going on in the world, but we're not feeling it immediately. And I know that people have some fears and concerns about our peaceful protests or what we're doing in the community. We just want to let our community know that we're not associated with Antifa, like there wasn't people bust in. These are just a group of people from our community that loves our community, who are standing for our community. And not only with this issue, we're here to tackle all issues. And I think it was very important for us to gather, and show our support behind the Black Lives Movement, because as we've seen today, I don't know Daviahn, but this was such an amazing thing, and he's so valued, and it could have easily been some of the horrific cases that we've seen that affect a lot of young Black African American men, and that would be such a disservice that if he wasn't here on this earth to save the life that he was able to save. I also want to thank our city council members for showing their support. It was very beautiful. There were so many people that gathered together, was dropping off waters. It was very positive, and we just want to let everybody know that we're doing this from the heart. We want to stand behind the community, not just this issue, but any issues that we had, and it really showed us that when we come together, we could literally accomplish anything. So I thank the community for their continued support, and that's what I would like to say on the behalf.
Thank you very much. Now, can you, your name? Oh, she's got it. Okay.
Yeah, Paul.
For the record.
Yeah.
You'll put it in the minutes.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you very much for doing what you did.
Cordis? Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the City Council. City Council in its capacity as successor agency to the former 29 Palms Redevelopment Agency, and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the City Council. The public will be given an opportunity to comment on consent calendar items prior to the City Council action. Any council members wish to pull any items? Who's that? Huh? Well, I guess we could. Let me do the consent calendar first, and then let me have that. Okay. Any consent calendar that the council wishes to pull? Okay. Anybody out in the audience that wishes to comment on the consent calendar at this time? All right, we'll bring it back to council for discussion, possible motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent calendar, and I'll abstain. Warrant check number 10574 is a Project Phoenix check, and item number 10, which allocates money for undergrounding. I abstain from both those.
Second.
I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Mintz and seconded by Councilmember Ogilvy. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Ogilvy?
Aye.
Councilmember Bilderrain?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
Aye.
Mayor Klink.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Okay, since I let the gentleman speak, I'm gonna let Jim Crusat, but he wants to speak on 11. Yeah. Never mind you. Okay, we'll move on to no items pulled, so we'll move on to number 11. Appeal of Vacation Home Rental VHR 101.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. This is PC case 2014, an appeal of a vacation home rental. It is appeal of a decision to approve the vacation home rental permit by the Community Development Director. This appeal also went before the Planning Commission, and the appeal was denied there. The VHR applicant is Heidi Graybill. The three appellants include Jennifer Ruggiero, Rick Capelli, and Diane Taylor, and Michael Tosh. Hope I'm saying his last name properly. The proposed VHR is located at 6784 Pine Spring Avenue. It is about 0.2 acre in size. The land use designation for the area is residential, single family, RS4, that's 4 dwelling units per acre. The property is surrounded by other single-family homes, except for a vacant lot directly to the north. And this is an aerial of the site, Pine Spring Avenue here in the center. This is the property in question. And again, it's surrounded by your typical single-family homes in the neighborhood. Wanted to note, the question arose how many vacation home rentals are in Indian Cove. Currently I believe it's 8 now, with one undergoing the application process. It's not quite complete through. And so this is a map plotting their locations throughout Indian Cove with the proposed VHR here at Pine Spring Avenue. This is some photos of the property, looking dead on, and then kind of looking northward, and then looking southward. And this is the vacant lot next door. So in the VHR process, applicant has to meet several requirements of the development code. This includes registration, of course, of the VHR. This applicant did do that on her own. It wasn't one of those that was caught operating illegally. There is a safety inspection that occurs through our Building and Safety Department. There's also a septic certification that they have to undergo to make sure the septic system is working properly. There's also insurance requirements that are necessary. And then once they're through this process, the final step is to install a contact sign on the building with an emergency phone number. So anybody walking by or the neighbors would easily have a phone number to call. The appellants have cited the following reasons as basis for the appeal: disruptive traffic, noise, trespassing that has occurred at other vacation home rentals, too many existing vacation home rentals in the neighborhood, the use of the VHR is essentially a hotel, and impacts to the number of long-term rentals. So within the staff report, you will have a letter from the applicant. Also included copies of the letters from all the appellants as well. But like I said, the Planning Commission reviewed the case and found that the application was consistent with the requirements of the development code and denied the appeal. Just wanted to note, if a VHR is having problems or is causing problems for the neighborhood, these are the remediations for violating the requirements of the code. First, we would cite the applicant for those violations. Our second option is just not to renew the permit based on the violations, or third, to revoke the permit based on the violation. So there is redress should a vacation home rental become a problem. And went back and looked at all the ones that have been issued since 2015 And we, the city, have not had a complaint on any vacation home rental since this, permit program was started. So our recommendation again is to deny the appeal and approve the application for the vacation home rental. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for staff? Okay, I have no questions. I'm going to open the public hearing. Is there anybody out in the public that wishes to comment? Jim Krushat.
Members of the council, thank you very much for having me. Jim Krushat, property owner. And I wanted to come by because I felt I had to answer a question. Because when I was reading through the staff report, Mr. Rick Campelli and Ms. Diane Taylor made the query. It says, how many of you people on the planning commission that approved another vacation rental is living next door to one? I have 2. I'm right in between 2. And I have 3 more coming up in my area. And what I've found is that a lot of people have taken derelict properties and are improving them, which I think is very positive for our community. I also know that if I have an issue with one of my vacation home rentals that are next to me, that there's an avenue for doing this. I can complain to the city. I can make a complaint to our police department, which is staffed by the sheriff's deputies. There is an avenue for doing that. And so I look at the fact that we have Ms. Heidi Graybill, who is, we've got the development code was put in place, an opportunity, or a system was put in place for if you want to have a vacation home rental, this is what you have to do. We have a citizen and homeowner that's doing that, and it's doing everything that we require. Apparently in Indian Cove, whatever was happening, I'm not sure, wasn't egregious enough for somebody to do a formal complaint. And so we do have an avenue for people. I want to understand what they were, what they're complaining about, and if it is, there is an avenue for them. So I just wanted to put those comments out and to answer the question, yes, we do have people on the planning commission that live right next to vacation home rentals and deal with the issue. Thank you.
And we have a council member.
And I would add the planning commissioner chairman also said he has some next to him as well.
Okay. Anybody else that wishes to speak on this item? Can you come to the podium and state your name, and we'll try to answer it for you. Uh-huh.
My name is Alex Garcia. Is there a cap to how many can actually come into 29 Palms?
There is no cap now.
Okay, is that something that's going to be addressed later on to when, 29 Palms is becoming more and more popular throughout the years to come. We keep getting more tourists out here every year. And, that's changing the environment of 29 Palms. So I'm just curious if there was going to be ever a cap or anything on these.
I will be bringing something up in the discussion.
Cool. I'm just curious. Cool. That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. We'll close the public comment, bring it back to council for discussion, questions.
Well, the only comment that I have as far as, when this whole thing was put together, there was, the rules were like 6 pages, but luckily it got down to a few. And the main ones is that you saw them, that this permit can be revoked at any time if the property is not being managed correctly. And since 2015, if we haven't added any complaints, I guess it shows that the people who own these homes are renting them to responsible people. So I'm not in favor of this appeal. So that's all.
Anybody else? So my thing is, can you go back to the picture with Indian Cove, all the houses and all that? We know where Indian Cove is located. Right up the street is Indian Cove National part of the national park area. So my concern, especially in this area, is that's what most people come here is to go to the national park. So if we keep allowing them to make these, first of all, I will allow this one to go through, okay? But I think we need to really look at areas where it could affect, how do I want to put this, national park. You're going to get so many people there that are just going to be there for the national park. There are not going to be any homes there available for anybody to buy. You know what I mean? We have 8 of them already that are VHRs, and if we let another 30 or 40 in there, that place is definitely going to be full of tourists instead of being a neighborhood. So I would suggest that we maybe look at sections of town where it could affect the national park itself, where people are just going there just because, I mean, can you imagine what Indian Cove is going to look like? The traffic's going to be just terrible going up and down because all these people have VHRs that could be, you know, have 6, 7, 8 people in them and driving back and forth, and I could see the noise and traffic that could become a problem later on down the road if we allow too many of them to go in there. So just to look at areas where, I don't want to be like Joshua Tree, in other words. Joshua Tree has over 600 VHRs, so their housing for people to move into is just about nil. Can't find one in Joshua Tree. So I don't want to stop people from coming to 29 Palms and making 29 Palms their home, and if we keep allowing this many to just keep coming in, it might get that way, and I don't want that to happen. So if there's any way. I like the idea that the lady put on the end of the complaint, I believe it is, where they should be 250 feet apart. You know, like these now are, 2 of them are right next door, another one is right next door. Because now you can get 2 families that know each other that are going to be in houses backed up to each other or next to each other, and who knows what kind of party they're going to be having. But like you say, we do have the things that the non-renews and the take it away. But I just think that we need to look at limiting the number, especially in Indian Cove, for the vacation home rentals. And if we have to look at the whole city as a whole, just to take a look.
So, Mr. Mayor, council members, is that, you know, obviously in a different section of the agenda, but is that a future agenda item request? Obviously, that's not agendized this evening.
Oh, okay, that's right,
But-
sorry.
But, you know.
I'll
it's-
bring it up at the end.
But it's appropriate during this conversation if there is, you know, others that want to bring that forward.
Yeah, I think it's very important to figure out how to do a cap, you know, if we don't get overrun like Joshua Tree. And also some of the zoning areas, like most people want to come to 28 Palms and move, live with their families. They're looking for places close to schools. Now, if they start making Airbnbs and vacation homes all around the schools, kind of takes away from that. You know, you want to live by a school, everyone looks, how's the school district, how far can my kid walk? So we might have to start looking at, not zoning, but like, make it into an area where people want to live next to schools. If they're all Airbnbs, then we got people partying Airbnb by schools, kind of takes away from that hometown feel. So some regulations, not trying to say no, but just don't let it get out of control and kind of take care of our people at the same time. And future people who want to live in this city, they want to be next to the schools. I mean, that's where you want to raise your kids. You don't live always in the middle of the desert. Sometimes you want to be kind of close to where your kids will be walking and stuff. That's just my
Okay.
10 cents.
So we'll bring that up at future council initiated items. Sorry, we didn't bring that back.
Well, just some statistics, because you were asking.
You're next, Jim.
We have approved or permitted 100 VHRs. Currently 74 active.
Right.
So some come in and off, and there are currently 8 through the process right now.
Okay. Jim, do you have one more thing?
Twice it's been brought up about Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree, yeah, did explode because there was no regulation in place. The county did not. That's an unincorporated area, and you're right. And that's one reason where 29 Palms was way ahead of the game. They put a regulation in place so that it didn't explode like Joshua Tree. If we want to consider limiting the number of VRBOs per unit area, that that's something that can be brought forward. But I don't think, you see, right now, we don't have that problem. That's not a problem right now. So, and I don't think we're going to get like Joshua Tree because we were ahead of the game. All right, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Right, thanks. Okay, bring it back to council. Motion? Any more discussion?
I'll make a motion that we deny the appeal and uphold the planning commission action to deny the previous appeal and approve the vacation rental VHR 101.
Second.
Have a motion to deny the appeal and uphold the planning commission action to deny the previous appeal and approve vacation home rental VHR 101 by Mayor Pro Tem Mintz, seconded by Councilmember Wright. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ogilvy.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Bilderrain.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz.
Aye.
Mayor Klink.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
And to be clear, Airbnbs are not just for partying.
Oh, I know
It's,
that,
so-
but you know, you do have the bad ones that come
Yeah,
in
but we
every
have,
once in a
we
while.
have contractors who live in them through their little contract, so,
Yeah.
just to be clear.
And they also participate in the T-bid, so.
Yeah, right. Did you have a question or anything? Yeah, you can. Come on up to the front there. Just state,
Well, what's the average income from these VHRs, or
oh,
like what's it doing for the city? Money?
oh.
Yes. Yeah, so it is a substantial number. You look at our hotels, and the hotels and VHRs are all, what we accumulate from our tax that we receive from that is TOT. And I think the prior year, we received $1.4 million total from TOT, and the VHR is a substantial piece of that, which is $176,000. So, the VHR is a trend that's out there. I mean, that's, there's a lot of people, to both of the points earlier, that prefer to stay in those. And, obviously the counter argument and the policy from the council staff will implement that. But that is a trend where people are looking for, these, VHR type of. So our revenue has been increasing over it started, I think the first year was $54,000 and has grown to $176,000 in those 5 years that it's been in place.
So it is giving revenue to the city, most definitely, yeah. Okay, we'll go on to discussion of potential action items. Number 12, COVID-19 business reopening.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This item is somewhat a moot point. Last week, when staff was writing this staff report and this resolution, in consultation with the mayor and the council, wanted to support our businesses in our community. As we heard the last meeting, the gentleman from one of the tattoo establishments was really anxious on wanting to open. So council wanted to do their part on making a statement, which is through a resolution, to open up the businesses that weren't open. Within there, though, however, some of the businesses have been allowed to open from last Friday. The governor made the announcement last Friday that we do have in the resolution that bars, at least the meeting to 29 Palms, because there's some things that he allowed that we just don't have, but bars, bowling centers, museums, galleries, visitor centers, fitness centers, campgrounds, hotels, and day camps all have been allowed to open through the governor's action last Friday, which are included in that resolution. What still is not included in the resolution, or not allowed to open, are nail salons, tattoo studios, movie theaters, performing venues like Theater 29, public pools, and youth sports. So the resolution still somewhat applies, to make a statement to the governor and, stand up for our community of those businesses that still aren't allowed to open, which is what the resolution represents. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So are they letting sporting events?
Not youth. So professional sports are allowed without spectators. But it didn't go into youth sports.
They're doing youth sports, yeah, never mind. Okay, any questions for staff? Anybody out in the audience wish to comment on item number 12, the reopening of businesses? Okay, bring it back to council.
And Mr. Mayor, just,
Yes.
you bring up youth sports, and just so the council's aware, so August 1st is our sign-up period for soccer and for volleyball. So that's what we're kind of keeping an eye on, and hopefully that gets released here soon. But
Okay. Any more discussion? Motion? $20.09? Okay.
I make a motion that the city council approve resolution number 2009, requesting the governor continue to open all businesses within 29 Palms.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Wright for the city council to approve resolution number 2009, requesting the governor to continue to open all businesses within 29 Palms, seconded by Councilmember Bilderain. Roll call?
Councilmember Bilderain.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Ogilvy.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz.
Aye.
Mayor Klink.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Moving on to 13, street improvement impact fee, future agenda item request.
well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This item is, as the mayor said, a future agenda item request from last meeting. And currently on our books through our development code, it requires curb gutter and sidewalks to be installed when you build, okay? So at relatively the same time, it was discovered or discussed that in some areas, mostly in rural areas, and even not even exclusively the rural areas, but some parts within our community, it didn't make practical sense to put in curb gutter and sidewalk. 'Cause so you can imagine having a street from point A to point B that maybe is completely rural, that there's no improvements on. It potentially didn't make any sense to have that curb gutter and sidewalk right in the middle of the street, whereas nothing else had it. So in that policy conversation came about an in lieu fee. So in lieu of putting in those improvements that did not make sense, you would pay this in lieu fee for future improvements. This in lieu fee is $77 a linear foot, okay, maxed at $11,000, $250. So that's a max of it. It's, I think, 150 linear feet at $77 a linear foot. And so that's the calculation. So I know there's been some discussion, consternation through the years of equitability, and within the rural areas, does it make sense to have for them to pay that fee? We accumulate that fee in a pot of money. Currently, it stands at $550,000, and we do regional projects. So you pay for that impact fee, that curb gutter and sidewalk fee, and if we don't construct within your area, we would construct it regionally. Our curb gutter and sidewalk is our flood control channeling, and so there is an impact to the property, albeit indirectly, okay? So I'd like to call your attention to, on the screen here, so part of our general plan, you have elements of your general plan. This very specifically is our circulation element of our general plan. And right here, this section here, I can't highlight it, but there you go. So what it says and it's under the section of local streets, I believe. Yeah, local streets. It says in residential zones with lots with a minimum lot size greater than 2.5 acres, a rural local standard shall be required with rolled asphalt, berm in lieu of concrete, curb, gutter, and sidewalks. So Mr. Clark and I have been kind of discussing this over the last probably, Travis, hour or so. And if the council so desires, because it's a future agenda item, which means 2 members of the council wanted to have this discussion. So if there is more council members that support reviewing this, and the review may be to look at reducing the fees, let staff kind of come back and look at this to maybe come up with those standards, because in theory, when you look at it, to this rural standard here that says, in rural areas at 2.5 acres, a rolled asphalt berm in lieu of curb, gutter, and sidewalk. So in essence, what it is saying is it's cheaper to do that than concrete, curb gutter, and sidewalk. But our fee is $77 a linear foot, period. So if the council so chooses, as far as a majority, we can kind of look at this, come back with a policy maybe on this, that maybe adjust that. Now, one of the things, though, just to be aware of, I think, is this policy came into place in 2008. This curb gutter and sidewalk fee at $77 a linear foot. And when we bring it back, there may be some adjustments there, and we'll see what actual costs are. But in theory, and we were talking about this, with inflation of cost, that $77 a linear foot, in theory, could be higher, with a curb gutter and sidewalk project. That could be, and I make this up, we'll have to analyze it, but maybe like $100 a linear foot, as an example. But maybe the rural area could be, $75 a linear foot, or maybe even $77 a linear foot. But I think it's worthy of reviewing this, if the council so chooses as a majority, and we can come back and, analyze this more in depth and have some more policy discussions at our next meeting. Mr. Clark, do you have anything to add to that? Anything I missed?
Just to point out, for commercial projects, multifamily, those types of projects, we always want the improvements. We never want the fees in lieu of, if we can avoid it. There are certain situations out there where it may be difficult or even impossible to do the improvements based on the location, utility lines, electric poles, and things like that. But all commercial, multifamily, we always want the improvements. I think the real question is these rural areas within the city.
Well, I'm all for a look at this, for sure. I was just looking at that. You just showed us with a minimum lot size greater than 2.5 acres, what happens with that one lot that's 1 acre in between?
Then that wouldn't apply.
Yeah. So, something to look at.
Well, I brought this up, so yes, I definitely want it to be, we should analyze this. It's been on the books since 2008. I was on the planning commission when this was going through, because there was definitely they were building, you can see some houses that were forced to put in their curb and gutter, and that's when we changed it, so, because there was just one house, and then there were 6 houses down the whole street, and none of them had curbs and gutters, and then it was just, wasn't feasible, so yes, well, this is probably something we should really look at.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Okay. All right, I think you're getting 5.
Staff has direction.
Okay. Anybody else in the audience? They're gone. Social distancing. All right. Future council initiated items. I'd like to bring that item up that I had discussed.
That's second.
I'm sorry? Yes.
Or do you want
Or-
to broaden it, just that we want to discuss the whole policy?
Yeah, the whole policy and actually just the whole city should actually be looked at. Can't just look at
the
one
section.
section.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Anybody else? Do you have anything?
No.
Councilmember Bilderain, anything? Mr. Wright? Danny, any more? Okay, and I as well. Public comments. Does anybody out there wish to comment right now? I won't read this whole thing if there's nobody out there. Okay. Then we will go down to, I'm not going to forget it this time, city manager update.
And I've taken the cue, I will be brief. So with this whole, so just so the council's aware, with this whole COVID-19 pandemic, we've kind of reviewed a lot of things, as you can see, within City Hall, one of which is going to be our cleaning of City Hall, the senior center, and finance building and visitor center. So we had a company, Mike Janitorial, they're retiring. So it's a good opportunity to look at cleaning in general, and new contracts. So there's going to be more services within City Hall, which I think, one, keeps the staff safe and clean, the city clean, along with the residents. So that will be stepped up. Project Phoenix, although it was on consent calendar, the next step of the project is moving forward, which is we're just finishing up the water and wastewater project, task of the project. And now the next step of it will be Edison, Frontier, and Spectrum working to undergrounding their utilities. So that is gonna start, I think, the end of this month, June, beginning of July, working on the timing, but definitely will be starting very shortly. That will run us through to the end of the year. And towards the end of the year, November, December, in that time frame, we'll be bidding out the buildings. With going to construction in February. One of the tasks that is in front of us over the next, I think, middle of the month, will be reviewing cost again. That's one of the things from our construction manager that's looking at. One of the hopes that through this pandemic that the construction cost was dipping, because leading up to it, it was just shooting up like a rocket ship. Right now, no one has really seen any relenting of those price increases. Everybody's been continuing to do their home projects, building houses, municipal projects. So anxious to see what that number comes out to be. Then finally, from a wastewater perspective, the base, through, again, that $80 million through the president's budget, we're hoping to get that accomplished through the federal side, so we get the joint use wastewater treatment facility. And we've been working on this for a long time. That $1 million from the state for our planning of our piece, which is, there's 4 pieces of that element of the $1 million, which will be preliminary design of our piping, of our sewers within our city. Environmental will be the biggest piece. I probably should have said that first. Environmental, to get that box checked. Preliminary design, financing, and outreach. The outreach is a big one, right? Quite frankly. It's out of sight, out of mind. People are flushing their toilets, going to their septic tanks, and it's working, right? They don't really understand, sewers are for the protection of our groundwater supply from a sustainability perspective. And so I think that is gonna be a big piece of it, is just educating our residents of our community. So hopefully that is brief, and I got another note here. Also too, so next meeting, June 23rd, and July 14th, we'll be canceling those 2 meetings. So our next meeting that we'll be meeting will be July 28th. Then 2, and we'll be communicating with the council. Typically, we have 1 meeting a month in these summer months for vacations. August, I'll get with the council to see if anybody has any travel plans for August, figure out which meeting in August we'll cancel, either the 1st or the 2nd. So thank you, sir.
Frank, I just, when 2 weeks ago, you brought up about 62 in Utah about the traffic light, and it was a Caltrans situation. Did we ever find out what exactly happened, or is that just, they just didn't bother following up on you?
Yeah, they're still up there working.
You see them working?
In the morning, yeah.
But it's working.
Oh, yeah, it's working. It's been working.
It's working.
No, I know the
great.
light, I meant the work they did.
Yeah.
So the Caltrans staff did some widening there. And I don't want to disparage that organization, but there was a miscommunication between 2 departments within Caltrans. So their operation and their engineering had a miscommunication. So the operations folks, I think, widened the road to a level that was outside the engineering scope. So my question to them, and I still don't have that answer yet, are they gonna redo it, or are they just gonna move forward and accept whatever the changes are? And I don't have an answer to that, and I apologize, and I'll follow back up.
No, that's fine. I was just curious if they got back. I got a question. I don't know if I can ask this question, but it's related to Project Phoenix. When we're doing septics, not septic, but sewer systems, if, for example, a housing development already has a sewer system, do they plug into it too, or?
Yeah, so our 2 housing developments, Turtle Rock and Desert Knoll, they both have packaged treatment plants. So they already have a sewer network in there. So it connects to their packaged treatment plant. So ultimately, it would have to connect to our main line to then go to the joint use facility. So it's already plumbed, for it. So it just has to, redirect at the end to go to the main.
Just the
collection.
treatment plant? Correct. It's gotta, instead of going to the package treatment plant, which it does today, it has to be replumbed then to the, main collector that's going to the big.
So are you saying each house?
No,
The treatment plant will connect to the main line.
So how does that affect those houses?
it doesn't. Yeah, so you'll have a network of sewers already in a
I
development.
mean, as far as paying.
So that'll be part of the financing plan, because, so if we use Yucca Valley as the example, there was an assessment per house, right? And that was your impact, that you paid, for the system. Well, they wouldn't have to pay for a lot of the interior collections, so those houses would be less than, other houses that have nothing.
Okay. So I would pay more.
Yeah.
Pretty sure they have houses down there for sale. All right, is there anything else for the better of the city of 29 Palms? All right, I'm going to adjourn this meeting